Hello, statistics student. This video is for chapter 1.2, part 4. We're going to talk about the topics of sampling error, non-sampling error, and sampling bias. So sampling means we randomly select some data, some subjects from our population, and we use that data to calculate some statistics, right? So, for example, we want to see how many percentage of students are female. So we count a sample to see how many percentage are female. Now, due to randomness of sampling, every time you pick one sample and you calculate the statistics, the statistics may be different, right? So we could have one sample and you calculate a percentage of a category, right? So statistics could be equal to, um, percentage one like 0.3%, 0.3, like 30%, go to 30%. And then you can calculate another sample. So this is sample one. Even if you use the same method, because of random number, you can have different number. So the statistics could be what? Could be 41%. They could be different. Did I do something wrong? Are they supposed to be the same? No, not necessarily, because things are random. So we call this variation, the different number from a sample. Statistics are sample variation. This will occur, and the differences are known as sampling error. And actually, sampling error actually is the difference between the statistics and the parameter. So if I have all the data available, I have a parameter. So the actual difference between the parameter and all these things that you calculate from the statistics are called sampling error. So they would be different. Sometimes your sampling error is very small. The statistic and the parameters are very close to each other. Sometimes they're very big because of random variation. Samples varies. But when sample size increase, the sampling error will decrease. But if you make your samples larger and larger, it would be getting closer and closer to the parameter. So that's one fact. There are three facts. One is there should be sampling variation. Second is when sample size increase, the sampling error will decrease. And third is sample error can be analyzed if the data are uh, uh, random samples. If the samples are random, samples are random because the difference, the sampling error can be analyzed. Now, what is non-sampling error? Non-sampling error occurs because your sample is biased, and you just pick something that is not representative of the whole population. We call those non-sampling error, and then non-sampling error cannot be analyzed. The third term, sampling bias. Sampling bias occur when some subjects in the population are not likely to be selected. So you might have incorrect conclusion drawn from this sample. So you think that your sample represent the whole population, but actually you affect it when you do your sampling. So these are called sampling bias, the incorrect conclusion due to sampling bias. And the most common one is really because you're doing a voluntary response sample, you're doing convenience samples, those would result in non-sampling error. So what is the guideline for looking at a statistical study? To see if the study is trustworthy, to see if there is any bias there. So the first things you should look for is the sample. Is there a problem with the sample? Biased samples are not representative. So if you only select, someone of a particular types and use it to represent the whole population, you'll have a biased sample. Okay. Or maybe when you want to collect data, but you only stand in a place and but not collecting, people that are from different area, then it is a biased sample. Or you're collecting data that are a particular age range, but neglecting people from larger range, that is a biased sample. So the first things you want to evaluate statistical study is, is there any problem with the sample method? First is, does this sample involve self-selected voluntary response sample? So with the prevalence of the internet and internet poll and everything, people think that they can collect data very easily by posting things on the internet. But they are self-selected samples, so this would only involve subjects who choose to participate, and it would include people with strong opinions of the matter. So, internet survey, call-in survey, they're voluntary response samples. They will incur sampling bias. The third things you should look at for a statistical study is evaluate the sample size. Is the sample size too small? Small samples, no matter how random they are unreliable because um, it may not represent the characteristics of the population. But sometimes when you are doing like drug tests that is dangerous, or people do no one want to participate in medical tests, small samples are unavoidable because no one want to participate. But you should look at the sample size issue. Question 4, or the fourth point is undue influence. When you look at the result of the data, could the data results be affected by how the survey is conducted in the wordings of the survey? Because sometimes wording in the survey can influence response. So look at the how people ask the survey, if particularly if it is about a opinion. Um, Another area that you should look at when you're looking at a statistical study is when you have a random sample, but if there's a high non-response rate, it means you pick those people, but they don't want to participate, and only a few, like want to participate. So it's although it is a random sample, it makes it into a voluntary response sample. Okay. So if the non-response rate is high, that is not very good. The next one is a self-interest study or self-funded study. So who the person or the organization that sponsor a particular study actually sometimes um, can influence how the researcher conduct the study. Because if you receive money from an organization, you might want to keep on doing a study until your results align with what the organization want you to produce, so that you kind of say you do not want to disappoint the sponsor, right? So it is not that they're hiding something, but they could throw away bad results and then keep on doing study until they get a good one. And because of sampling variation, sometimes they will find it. So, but would that study be trustworthy? It may not be. So always look at who funds or sponsor a study. Okay. And the next two are about conclusions. So after you collect your data, after you have good samples, when you make your conclusion of an inferential statistics, would you say the correlation as causations? When you do two things happens together, do you use the word causations? So we say correlation does not imply causation. So two things happens together does not mean that one causes the other. It may be due to a confining variable, or sometimes it's called a lurking variable. Okay. No, I think it's a confining variable. And also sometimes if they just they just correlate together does not mean that it cause it. The last things is when you look at a statistical study, look at the graph itself. So if the graph drawn in such a way that the differences are exaggerated by using a non-zero axis, so maybe you want to show something, but you start up with 1,000, and then this is only 1010. So it seems like someone has 1001 and 1010 are such a big difference, but actually the difference is really small. Okay, so yeah, so this is well, I should do it. So it seems like they are very the difference are very big, but actually it's not. So look at the result. Look at the graph to see if there's non-zero axis. So let's go through a few examples to see what issue is there with this study. A random sample of 30 students show an average of 23. So this is one sample. The average age is 23. A second sample of 30 students show that the average age is 27. Why is there such a difference? Because of sample variation. So the statistics is going to be different. Sample statistics. So you calculate the two averages could be different. And this is normal. But the way that they change should have some kind of pattern, and you can analyze if when a number is out of ordinary. Example 2, determine the source of bias. The survey is conducted by a company, shoes company, and then we want to they sponsor a study on how if running will improve health. So now because the sponsor is an athletic shoes company, of course they want you to get a positive result of running would improve health, so that you should buy the shoes. So this is a self-interest study. So they have potential of bias. We cannot say that they are always biased, but they have potential to get to produce biased result. B, a researcher posts a survey online and invite participants to participate by offering cash reward. So these are self selected sampling, voluntary sample. So they would have sample bias. People that participate are of a particular reason. So maybe they want the money, or they are interested at the issue. See, data show that students who take PE class before math class had a higher math grade, and the researcher used the result to conclude that exercise improved math performance. So there's two things that's happening. Students that take PE class before a math class, not PE before a math class. So the math grade is higher, and for not PE before math, the grade is lower. So it seems like PE influence your grade, right? We can only say that this is a correlation. We can say PE and higher grade are correlated, but cannot say that it improve is a cause. So it's not causation. You cannot say that it can improve it. You can say when people have PE before it, the grade higher. Okay. The last one, the researcher select students in honor roll to participate in the research on online class. So these are students in honor roll, so it does not represent all the students, right? So this is the result would have sampling bias. You cannot use it to predict the population. So that is all of 1.2, and we'll have 1.3 about summarizing quantitative data.